Hello, everybody. This is Kirsten here, and welcome back to the Balanced Vibes podcast and also YouTube channel if you are watching this on YouTube. I hope you're doing well. Today we have an episode that's focusing a lot around or on food. We talk very little about exercise, if at all. Actually, I'm not planning to talk about exercise in this episode at all, but to be honest with you, I never know exactly how the podcast is going to turn out, what exactly is going to be included. I have an idea when I sit down to record it, but then sometimes I go off all kinds of ways, and who knows, maybe we end up talking about exercise. But the plan is at least to talk mostly about food and diets and a little bit about dieting and some crazy stuff that people have been doing and I did not know about it. Maybe you knew it. I don't know. We'll find out. And then also towards the end of the episode or second half of the episode, I'm going to come back to the idea of balance again, which I have been talking about quite a bit lately. And for those of you who are balanced now, who have healed their metabolisms, they're feeling healthy, they're feeling better, but they still have this fear right around food, like how much should I eat, where should I stop? If I don't have any strict rules, I feel so lost. What do I do? Because I want to have some guidance, but it's hard for me to understand like what are the right or wrong things to do. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips, very practical tips that you can use in order to start figuring out the right nutrition for you, so it's unique for you. Nobody else can tell you what you should be doing. If you just want to get to know yourself better and your needs and what foods you respond better to and what kind of guidelines work for you, so this is going to be helpful for you. But first, I want to start with something very interesting that I learned last week. So I was talking to my newest client. She's my macro coaching client, and she's a trail runner. And her goal is to lose a little bit of body fat so she can run faster. And we talked about different ways how to do it. And she is a person who is really, really healthy, physically as well as mentally, has never had any eating disorders. And she was like, okay, I'm gonna try that macro tracking because I want to be able to eat all the things, but I also want to lose a little bit of body fat so I can run faster and just feel lighter when I'm running. And then we talked about it, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna give it a try because I don't want to do anything as crazy as this one of my friends does. And she does keto, which is also low calorie at the same time. So as you all know, keto diet is a very low carbohydrate diet, but it can also be done in a way that's also very, very low calorie. So it's not always necessarily low calorie, it's always low carb. But this girl, her friend, she's doing low calorie and low carbohydrate diet. And so my new client, she told me that actually she is seeing in her friend, she's seeing those patterns of like yo-yo dieting, going up and going down and going up and going down, because she's sometimes eating very, very low calories when she's really restricting and starving herself. And then there's going to be times when she's just diving headfirst into sugar and everything that she used to tell herself is not okay to have because she has to be on the strict keto diet. And so it comes out that one of the tricks that her friend is using is taking painkillers at night so that she does not feel any hunger. And I was really surprised by it because I had no idea that this is a thing, but apparently it is a thing. So I asked her, so how does it work? What is it? And this client, she's actually a physical therapist, so she knows quite a bit about medicine, medication, and how they work. And then she told me that, yes, there's some painkillers, not all of them, but some painkillers have this really like a calming and soothing and anti-inflammatory effect too. So it kind of it's able to make you feel in a way so that you don't feel hunger, but you just go to sleep. So it makes you a little bit tired. It's kind of like soothing, and then you just go to bed and you pretty much forget about your hunger. And that totally blew my mind because honestly, I didn't know it. I mean, I have never taken any pills for weight loss. I'm really lucky and happy that I've never done that. Everything I've always done is been that mostly like through overtraining. This is my main thing, and occasionally a periods of time also like a severe calorie restriction, but overtraining has always been that thing for me. So I've never messed with like pills or like painkillers, and I didn't honestly even know that using painkillers in such a way is something that people do in order to not feel hunger. And I trust that all of you are in a place where you don't get ideas from this now and start experimenting and like, oh, that's a cool idea. I've never tried this before. Maybe I should do it. Please don't do it. Okay. I trust that you're not doing it. But it's just to show like how crazy we can really get with this stuff. And you know, when we want to lose weight, first of all, I think it's important to figure out like, do we have anything to lose? And secondly, how are we going to do it in a sustainable way, in a healthy way? Because I don't ever want your weight loss to be unhealthy. Taking painkillers, if you do it frequently, it's not good for your stomach. So when I used to struggle a lot with my period pains, I had to take so many painkillers, and I was really, really worried because yes, I only took them like once a month on day 1 or sometimes day 2 of my period, but still I had to take like 8 of them. And I'm actually going to link to the video where I'm talking about how I got rid of my period pain. But I had to take so many painkillers. I was really, really worried, but I took them because I was in such a bad pain that I just couldn't be. Right? I just couldn't like be normal. I could not work, absolutely not at all. And I couldn't, you know, function like a normal human being. And that was because I had to. But now somebody is taking painkillers because she doesn't want to feel hunger. I would say this is a really, this is a terrible idea. Like seriously, don't ever do that because it's a really, really unhealthy thing. It's definitely going to mess with your stomach as well. And your weight loss plan should never be so strict that you are absolutely starving. If you're absolutely starving, you gotta eat. And I don't know about you, but I personally, because I have restricted my calories in the past, I literally don't want to go back to feeling super hungry anymore. And of course, if you have some weight loss goal, you may have days where you feel a little hungry, maybe, but it should never be like extreme hunger. And I just can't do this anymore. Even if I tried, I couldn't do it anymore. Like I just mentally go like, no, hell no, I'm not gonna starve myself. I just hate that feeling of being really, really hungry. If I have to wait a little bit until I get food, yeah, that's fine. But like put myself through this misery and not eat and feel terrible hunger, this is like an absolute no for me. And I hope that for you too, because it's going to teach you that you have to respond to your body's signals, and you have to eat well to keep your body healthy, and you have to eat in a way that doesn't create a huge caloric deficit in a way that you are starving every single night and you have to take painkillers. And so when I learned about this story that you can apparently take painkillers to not feel hunger, then I asked people in my stories that if they knew about it, and in the beginning, like about 50% of people said that they actually knew about it, and towards the end, as you know, the polls are up for 24 hours. Towards the end, there were about 75% who said they didn't know it, and 25% who said that they knew it. But it was a big number of people still who said that they didn't know about it. And one of my current clients, actually, she said that she, when she was trying to lose weight, what she did was she would take a combination, what's called apparently ECA, and I did not know about that either. So this is a combination of ephedrine, which is a medication, then C is caffeine, and A is aspirin. So you take all these three together, and that's apparently going to, again, help you not feel hunger. It was supposedly going to boost your performance, which again, like, do we really have to use these types of tools to do all that? And you know, caffeine, I know some people do really okay with caffeine and it really does boost their performance. You know, go harder in your workout, get you a little bit of this like, oof, okay, I got this, you know, I can do it. If you can tolerate coffee well, that's fine in my opinion. But if you don't tolerate coffee well, then it's not such a good idea. I would personally not do it. But this combination of this ephedrine and aspirin and coffee, like my client said, it was not good for her. She started having really bad stomach aches about a month after using it, so not recommended. And I actually looked up exactly that ephedrine because I did not know that either. So I'm gonna read you what it is. Ephedrine is a medication and a stimulant. It's often used to prevent low blood pressure during spinal anesthesia. So that's interesting, but it's also been used for asthma, narcolepsy, and obesity, but it's not preferred treatment. Putting together with caffeine and aspirin, and to recommend that to people so their performance is going to be better or they lose fat faster. Like, this is extremely irresponsible. It's really irresponsible to use that in place of food. For example, if you want to have good energy, why don't you eat in a way that supports that, right? Isn't that a much better solution? Yeah, it's not a 0-calorie solution, but it's still a healthy solution, because what are your cells gonna get? What are your muscles gonna get from these painkillers and aspirin and caffeine? Not much, right? So they only stimulate you, and like my client also said, it gave her a bad stomach ache after a little while. So it's not worth it. So please don't mess with stuff like that. It's not healthy for you. There are so many better ways to take care of your body, and honestly, doing these things is not taking care of your body. If you're starving yourself to the point where you have to like turn to medication and weird mixes of like caffeine and aspirin and stuff, this is not taking care of your body. You're only digging yourself deeper into the hole where it's going to be so much harder to climb out from later. So this is my little rant on this topic, what I learned last week. Absolutely fascinating. You can leave me the comments in the YouTube comment section, or you can DM me if you have ever heard about it, if you have ever used anything like that. I'm not judging you. I've done crazy stuff myself in the past too. So I'm just curious to know if you knew about it or not. And so now I'd like to move on to the second part of today's podcast, which is, like I mentioned earlier, about balance, how to find balance with your food, and especially after recovery, when you have maybe had a period of time overeating, and of course before that you had a period of time of under eating, and now you are really unsure like how to move forward. And this topic is important because a lot of times women feel like, I want to have some guidelines or something, like, please somebody tell me how to eat. And of course a lot of times we just want everybody to tell, like somebody to tell us everything how to eat, like have this meal and this meal and this meal. Actually, sometimes people, when they contact me for HA, they're like, okay, what is your meal plan? I'm like, there's no meal plan. Actually, I'm not writing people meal plans. I'm giving them dietary recommendations, but I'm not giving them exact meal plans with exact calories. I want these to be up to you, but there are just certain calories that you have to hit. And also later, when somebody wants to do macro coaching for body composition change, then also there won't be meal plans, because I want to give people the opportunity to learn about themselves. What are their preferences? What do they like? What makes them feel full? What makes them feel satiated for 3, 4, 5 hours? So I want you to be able to figure these things out, and that's why I don't have any strict rules or guidelines. So now this can be a very, very new situation for somebody who has always had strict rules and guidelines and just doesn't know how to eat without them. And so now after recovery, if we tell this person that eat anything you want, your body knows, your body will guide you, then yes, there is some truth to it, but this person may have absolutely zero idea what that means. And I saw it a lot, like a while ago when I was coaching my balance phase girls, and they would ask me the same question. Okay, do you have anything to tell me, like any guidance, anything? And I was like, no, just listen to your body, it'll tell you. And I just saw how confused they were. And the same question kept coming up again and again and again. And this is where I realized that, okay, it's not helpful to just tell people, trust yourself, eat what you want, because they're not used to it. They want to have some guidelines. Now, the problem here is that some people start using guidelines the way they used past diet rules, which is like, okay, I have to do this. If I don't do this, I failed. Or I have to do this. If I don't do this, I have to make up for it the next day. Whatever the ways are, how we, are really, really being hard on ourselves. I don't want these to come back anymore. I just want you to be more relaxed, but still feel that you have some kind of safe structure, something that you can trust, and something that you can rely on, so you're not all over the place, because we want to have a little bit of control. Okay, so what are the practical things that you can do then if you are in this situation? I would actually recommend you to make 2 lists. And the first list of things would be your red flags, or the rules that you used to follow in the past that really triggered your disordered eating behaviors or triggered your very unhealthy behaviors. So whatever the things are for you, write them down, put it in an organized list. So for example, these may be things like, okay, I skipped breakfast, although I didn't have to be fasting. I had no health conditions that required fasting, but I started skipping breakfast, or I started cutting out all the carbs, and I know that this is where things went really, really wrong. One of my clients had this habit where she would put food in her mouth and then she would get the taste of it and she would spit it out because she doesn't want to have those calories. So think about it. What were the things that made eating really, really disordered for you? And I don't know what they are. Just like with food preference, there are no like universal lists that, okay, these are things that drive everybody crazy. It's not like that. Okay, some people don't mind skipping breakfast, and for them it's not an unhealthy habit, but if it is for you, you're going to write it down. So make a list of all these things that you used to do that you know were not healthy for you. Then make another list of things, and these would be the things that give you some structure, some guidance, but they're doable and they are not super hard. They're not like hardcore rules. And you know that if you don't follow these guidelines all the time, then you're not going to beat yourself up. You're not going to punish yourself. But these guidelines are there to keep you on a healthy track. So for example, a couple of things that could be, again, this is also unique to you, but some of the things that could be on this list are, okay, I'm gonna give my best and eat 3 servings of vegetables every day. Or I'm going to track my protein only because protein is important, and I know when I eat high protein, then everything else kind of falls into place naturally. Or you can tell yourself something, I'm eating about 90% of whole and real foods. Things like that that are helpful for you and help you to stay on track. And then what you're going to do is that when you notice that your behaviors are going back to that first list, when you start doing these things that were really, really bad habits for you, maybe you find yourself, oh, I spit out my food again. Where did that come from? When you notice something like that, you're going to immediately respond to it, and you're going to put yourself back on track. You're going to say, okay, this is never going to happen again. If I put a food in my mouth, unless it was like a rotten or bad or for some other reason, I'm never going to spit it out again. Okay. If you notice that you have been skipping your breakfast for like 3-4 days this week again, it's been kind of like sneaking into your habits again, then you're just going to tell yourself, okay, tomorrow I'm going to do it better. Tomorrow I'm going to have breakfast by 9 a.m. and no excuses there, right? So you're going to have to quickly go back when you notice those red flags, quickly go back and fix it. And if you catch it early, if you catch it at the right time, then it's not going to go worse. Then you're going to look at the second listing and you're going to try to follow this list as much as you can. Okay. So these things in this list, they are not hardcore rules. They are not something that you have to do or else something bad will happen, right? So let's say that one of your goals was to eat 3 servings of vegetables every day, and it's amazing if you can do it every single day, and that's almost the goal. But at the same time, if there was a day when you're traveling, you didn't have access to it, whatever happened, it's okay if it was 2 servings a day. It's okay. You're going to tell yourself it's fine, right? So it gives you some structure, something to aim for, but it's not the end of the world if it doesn't happen. Or maybe you have the protein tracking goal. Okay, I'm going to do my best and eat like 0.8 grams of protein per pound of body weight. Yeah, great. Let's do it. Okay, I'm going to track it. But again, I was on a vacation or I just, something came up. I wasn't able to track. I didn't know how much protein was in this food that I had when I ate out. It is not the end of the world, right? So what you do most of the time, that matters. If you have a couple of days here and there when you're not able to do these things, they don't ruin your progress. And so look at that second list and try to follow it as much as possible and use it as a guideline, not as a hardcore rule. And actually yesterday on my Instagram stories, I shared these same thoughts, and I got a really good response to that, and I actually want to read it to you because I think this is such a good example of how somebody is just trying to find that middle ground where she allows herself to have certain things, but she also doesn't go like overboard with the things that she knows are not beneficial for her. So I'm going to read this to you. after I kind of shared the same thoughts that I shared right now. And she says, can I just say that you just helped me so much at this point? I went out for pizza for dinner yesterday, me and my partner, and we decided that we'll each have just a half. It was loaded with vegetables and some mozzarella, so we can be satisfied. And we also ordered some salad with it. So this is a great example of how, you had some pizza, you had something that you really wanted, but it was relatively healthy. She had like a lot of vegetables, there was a salad, so she had a little bit of both, and it felt good. So had she had like strict rules that no, this has to be keto, or no, this has to be like full paleo, or no, this is gonna be over my, I don't know, whatever number, then she could not have done this, okay? She also says, for my anxious self, it was the best case scenario. I did not freak out. I was actually so satisfied and full, and I was not craving more. And this is also the secret here to feeling normal, is that you're gonna eat until you feel satisfied. Feeling good doesn't come from undereating and starving, just like we talked about before. Feeling good doesn't come from taking painkillers to not feel your hunger, but feeling good also does not come from stuffing your body to the point of discomfort, right? So she found this healthy place because she's navigating that middle ground all the time, okay? And then she says, but still, since we were celebrating my birthday, we decided to have some dessert, but we took it home with us and we had it later when we wanted it. That's awesome, right? If you're feeling really full already and you know that, okay, I kind of want to celebrate, it's my birthday, cool, I want to have some cake, but do I have to have it like right now? Do I have to like stuff myself to the point of discomfort? Or can I take it home and maybe have it later when I'm feeling a little bit like I have more room in my belly and I really want it? And she said, last year I skipped the freaking cake piece for my birthday and had protein bars. I'm actually really proud of myself. And yes, you can have cake. You should be able to have that cake on your birthday, and you don't have to eat protein bars unless you want them. So again, let's not judge them who want to eat protein bars. Maybe they want to, whatever they want to do, right? But if you want to have a piece of cake on your birthday, then have it and be normal around it. Tell yourself that, yes, like one of my guidelines is to have, sweets and treats not every single day and not every single meal. Actually, every single day, I think that's fine to have something, but not every single meal and stuff myself. Yes, it is my guideline, but it's my birthday and I just want to have something a little bit more, so I'm going to be cool with it, right? So it's okay if I didn't follow these new guidelines like all the time. And besides, remember that guidelines too, they are flexible, they are not strict and hard like the rules that you once followed were. So I hope that helps you to find that middle ground and be kind of normal and healthy around food. So again, my tips for you would be to make two lists. Make a list of things that you absolutely know that if you start doing them, you bring your awareness to this point and tell yourself, okay, something's going on. What is up? Tomorrow I'm going to change that, or today I'm going to change that, or the next meal that I have, I'm going to change that, okay, immediately, because if you let that go on and on and on and on, it's going to be so much harder to catch. And then make yourself another list of things, and this would be your guidelines. What are the things that you want to follow for your health and for your for your well-being, so that you can feel really good and healthy. So I hope this was helpful for you. If you like this video, if you're watching on YouTube, please make sure to subscribe. If you are listening to it on your podcast app, please leave me a review. I would be really, really grateful to have a review. It's been a while since I've had one, so that would be absolutely wonderful, because the more positive reviews and ratings we get, the more this podcast is going to be showed for other people too, so they can find it. And this is how the podcast app works. So thank you already for your reviews and comments, and I will talk to you again very soon. Bye bye.